Reefton, a small coastal town in New Zealand. The date is August 15th, 2001. Sheldon Morgan recently moved back into his mother's house, and the cat needs to be fed. August is winter in New Zealand, and the temperature is below zero. Morgan is unaware that just up ahead, the path has iced over.
Piper, where are you, baby? My precious Piper.
The impact knocks Morgan unconscious. But it's bad luck that lands him face down in the cat bowl, which may not appear fatal, but according to Dr. Goldman, an expert in human biology, it has a deadly potential.
Anyone can drown in a small amount of water. When water gets into the lungs, that means that you can no longer draw fresh oxygen in, you can no longer vent carbon dioxide out. It doesn't take a large quantity of water to get into the lungs.
The cat bowl contains no more than 4 centimeters of water. But since Morgan's face is submerged, it would be enough to trigger a dry drowning.
About 15 to 20% of people who drown have what's called a dry drowning. That means they drown in a very small quantity of water. That first little bit of water that they inhale through their nose, through their mouth, is aspirated, so they draw a breath in and the water that's inside the mouth gets sucked into the airway. When it hits the larynx, sometimes that water can trigger spasm.
This reflex is called laryngospasm. Laryngospasm is an involuntary muscular contraction of the vocal cords. It can be triggered as the cords work to prevent water, mucus, or even blood from getting into the lungs. As the vocal cords constrict, the body's airway slams shut.
That means preventing further water and also preventing oxygen from getting into the lungs as well.
By preventing oxygen from getting into the lungs, the body is propelled into another reflex, the mammalian diving reflex, a condition that Dr. John Rutka is an expert in.
Mammalian diving reflex tends to protect the heart by causing it to slow down. It also tends to protect the brain by slowing down the metabolic activity, which is necessary for the brain cells to survive.
The first consequence of the mammalian diving reflex is to slow the heart by 50%. This is the body's attempt to conserve the limited amount of oxygen in the bloodstream. Blood is shifted to the chest to keep the lungs inflated, stopping collapse from external pressures. Next, blood flow to the extremities is slowed.
And finally what happens is that oxygen levels tend to be preserved within the brain as the brain tends to slow down and in many ways goes into a state of suspended animation.
All of these reflexes struggle to protect the heart, lungs, and brain while in a drowning situation. But Morgan is unconscious.
Depending on how deep his level of unconsciousness was, I would have expected that his cough reflex might have been suppressed, and so he would have been unable to cough up whatever water was in his lungs.
Morgan has now been face down in the cat dish for over 3 minutes.
There was probably about a 3 to 5 minute window where someone would have had to take his face out of the water, put him on his back, and then hopefully start some resuscitation if he was not breathing spontaneously.
But no help comes for Morgan. And another minute passes.
Without intervention, without bystanders helping you, without paramedics coming to assist you and perhaps to insert a breathing tube, then eventually you will asphyxiate.
A fate Morgan seems destined for.
So you have a certain amount of time, probably a matter of minutes, then eventually you will have a cardiac arrest and you'll die.
Which is unfortunately what happened. Sheldon Morgan's demise was most likely attributed to cardiac arrest. His unfortunate fate was to experience the curious and unusual death of drowning in less than 4 centimeters of water.